What's up, friends? Haven't recorded an episode in a couple of weeks, and this next episode was recorded last week. I'm gonna take some time off. Need to rebuild myself internally, work on myself, trying to find inner peace. If you've been following me for a while, you know I'm always questioning government narratives, institutional narratives, religious narratives, all that stuff. I question it all. What I didn't expect was when, or how disorienting it could be when your own foundation shifts. So, just need to take some time off, need to recalibrate, try to find myself. So, thank you guys that have been following me for a while. Maybe you just found the show. So, um, just ask patience. I don't know. I don't have a timeline, but when I come back, I'll be stronger and better. So, much love.
Bold, unapologetic, roasted for people who wake up ready to build, defend, and get things done. Don't tread on bean coffee, because freedom isn't watered down, and neither is your morning brew. Start your day strong, stand your ground, go to treadonbeancoffee.com, the official coffee of the Radical Truth podcast. So, who decides what the fuck is true? I just each week I keep seeing that things are just going to get a little less wild, crazy with the zeitgeist of the news. We got away from politics, we got back on politics, and I was listening to my friend Ashley on Nights of the Storm, and she did like a podathon, and there was a guy on there who I was like listening, kind of like just kind of half listening all day long. And today we are joined by Wheezy, who is host of What is Truth podcast, a show that kind of digs into conspiracy theories, controversial events, and kind of cracks the official narrative of all the bullshit that we hear in the news. I mean, for me, just listening to him, he kind of challenges mainstream thinking. And he invited me as a listener to kind of look at history and current events through a different lens. So we're talking hidden agendas, media influence, psychological warfare, and kind of like questioning the authority narrative. It has nothing been more important during this time than when I listen to this guy talk, and he doesn't give a fuck. So today we have Wheezy, who is on from What's Truth podcast, along with Ashley, who you guys have heard. She's on Nights of the Storm. She also is her own podcaster. She has a show coming out here in a couple weeks. So we are doing a three-way. How are we doing, guys?
Doing okay. Thank you for that introduction.
You're welcome, Wheezy. And I got Ashley. How you doing, Ashley? I think you are muted, Ash. I can see you're muted up. So how you doing?
Hey, I'm doing good. I'm happy to be here with you guys. And I think I'm really happy that the two of you are talking. I think it's going to be a really good conversation and food for thought. A lot of food for thought. And if we get into the moon landing, there's a lot of things that touch that, just like a lot of the other stuff that we talk about, Ray. So much of this stuff is connected. It's just a node in the web. And it's really fascinating.
Yeah, so Weezy, if you want to give everyone kind of like I did an intro for you, but just kind of say like your podcast and kind of like what your truth is. But I picked the moon landing hoax today, boys and girls, because that is just it's the NASA's getting ready to relaunch the whole space program, go back to the moon because quote unquote we're going back, but I've never fucking thought that we went in the first place. So I just wanted to kind of get your take on it, and we'll just go from there.
Yeah, I mean, I try to cover a bunch of different topics, mostly conspiracy related, but I do jump around from time to time. Lately, I've been doing a lot of philosophy and trying to figure out that question, what is truth? Lately, I've been trying to figure out what consciousness is. Um, for some people, that may be a boring exercise, but I've been
It's not boring
been
at all.
really, I've been really pondering a lot. Um, I've been doing podcasts now for a few years, and it's been wild. Obviously, the government lies, but so do people. I've been doing this for many years now, and it's shaken my thought process on everything, not just government lying, but I don't know. I'm in a weird space now where everything is fake and gay, man. Like,
You're fucking
I
black
know,
pilled. That's what it
yeah,
is.
I am. I'm super black pilled. You think you know someone or something, and then it's all bullshit.
Yep.
And so that's where I'm at. Yeah, the moon landing's one of those things, 9/11, um, and on and on and on. A lot of people lately I've been hearing say that I'm an extremist for my thoughts, but I think it's all there. The patterns are there that we continually get lied. So I feel justified in questioning everything. If someone lies to you and has a habit of lying to you, aren't you going to continually question them? If someone or the government, for example, or whatever, if they started having a good track record and started being straight up and transparent, well, then maybe, maybe you can take things a little bit easier on them, but I still wouldn't trust them 100%. And that's where I'm at. And so when you have track records of lie after lie after lie, why the hell should I take any of their words for anything they claim that they're doing? And and that pertains to everything. Name it. All the big events in history are all lies.
They're all
Every single
bullshit.
one of them. Yeah,
Yep.
it's all bullshit. Um, I'm unapologetic. I have questions on World War II, and a lot of shit doesn't add up there. Ashley and I did a show on Vietnam. A lot of shit doesn't add up there. All the major events in history have all been bullshit. And so now, unfortunately, I'm like that with even people in this space. There's people that I trusted and believed, and a lot of these people, maybe some of them have good intentions, I don't know, but there's a lot of bullshit. So I'm as black pilled as you can get. So
Well, I
that's
mean,
where I'm at.
my household, my dad grew up I mean, my dad was a big like alien guy. So like Eric Von Donigan, I saw when I was a kid, like the God Code. And, we kind of had the JFK assassination. My dad had books and books and books. And my sisters and I are identical triplets, but I was very different from my sisters. I was big on conspiracy theories. And I remember during COVID, like in California, because we shut the fuck down. And I was telling them in 2020, because I was seeing who's the McAfee? John McAfee, that's the antivirus guy that was talking about do not get the COVID vaccine. So I was saying X, Y, and Z is going to happen. There's going to be, myocarditis, pericarditis, blood clotting, girls having issues with their menstrual cycle. And everyone told me I was fucking crazy. And then I bent over and grabbed my ankle squeezy and I took one for the team and got vaccinated because I was going to get fired and both my sisters got vaccinated, and I thought, well, fuck it. If they're gonna die, I might as well die too. And we all three got severely vaccine injured. And then they started asking questions. And also, my stepmom was supposed to be on flight 93 for 9/11. So I lived in Boston, moved to Seattle my senior year, watched it real time. My dad and I were saying, X, Y, and Z happened. And how the fuck can't take down an entire building, but we get the passports. So my that whole roundabout me being a woman and talking way too much right now is because I am 100% with you that none of it makes sense.
Yeah.
It's all bullshit. If I see something on the news, I automatically go, okay, there's a narrative behind it. It's not the truth. And where are we at? So the reason I picked, we can talk about anything, you guys. We got an hour, but we can start with just the moon landing is because NASA recently is now doing this big push. They're talking about they're bringing astronauts back to the moon. And I'm like, why haven't we not been since the 60s? What's going on? How the fuck did we not figure it out to get through the Van Allen belt with radiation? But we had this technology back then, but our cell phones wouldn't allow us to talk on it on a plane until 2015. Like, what the fuck is going on?
Yeah, the whole moon landings is, I mean, in a way it was a success for the government PR department, because if you tell people today that you don't believe in the moon landings, you are looked at as loony, How the hell do you not believe we made it to the moon? We learned this shit in elementary school. So in that sense, it was a successful PR by our government. And my theories, some people that will start to have questions will quickly ask, and within reason. I mean, it's a valid question. Why would they fake the moon landings? That they can't comprehend it. And my answer to that is, take a look at the entire decade of the 1960s. Everything that was going on, the bullshit, the government murders from JFK that everyone knows about, but RFK, Malcolm X, Martin Luther King, Fred Hampton, and on and on and on. Tons of government corruption during that entire decade. So people were already having questions about their government. And then what happened in the 60s as well, Vietnam, and Ashley's done fantastic, exquisite research on that. But that's another major thing that was going on while the bullshit in Vietnam was going on, and tons of innocent Vietnamese were getting slaughtered. And everyone hears about the American, our guys, our boys getting slaughtered, which tens of thousands ended up dying for bullshit war. But very few people ever talk about the millions of Vietnamese innocent people that got massacred for bullshit reasons. And in order to distract from that bullshit, what happened? Oh yeah, we're gonna send people to the moon, everyone! Yay! Like a happy, joyous story. This is happy. This is American exceptionalism, and that is the reason why they would fake the fucking moon landings. It's no different than today, where you have Israel genociding Palestinians, and people forget about that. It's happening, and yet, no, we're hearing a little bit of Bill Clinton and Trump getting it on, and the Epstein files and all this shit. It's all distractions. It's really the same story, different era. And so the moon landings for me are when you look at a couple of things. You look at the era of the 1960s. It was all analog shit, man. I mean, it's easy to forget analog stuff because we've been used to digital, having everything, all this high-end technology. We see, I mean, you can get a fucking 65-inch flat screen TV for like $300 at Walmart, which is insane to think about. Only a few years ago, that same TV was costing you several thousand dollars. You know what I mean? But we're led to believe that we made it to the moon with that technology, analog technology in the 60s. But we haven't been able to replicate the endeavor all these decades later. And we are told it's because of money. They're not getting money, but yet you look at their annual budget, it's still in the billions of fucking dollars. So don't you can miss me with the money shit. And then you'll have other people say, well, at the time they had a percentage of the gross domestic product as their budget. Okay, so why the fuck did they delete the original footage? Because we're told they deleted and recorded over footage to save money, but yet they had a percentage of the GDP. So you can kill all their excuses for it. We're also told, well, if it was fake, the Russians would have talked. We had Dmitry Rogozin, top level Russian cosmonaut, saying that it was bullshit. Americans never made it to the moon landing. But when he says it, oh, well, he's a crackpot conspiracy theorist. No, motherfucker, what you are doing is moving the goalpost.
Don't forget to just try to interrupt you, but all these motherfuckers coming in for the moon landing, they talk about our American NASA program. That was the German NASA program. We took all the Nazis over here, thousands, for the program, and we're talking about it's for Americans and for our program when they're the ones that started all this shit in the first place. No one's talking about it. But I'll shut up. Continue. I was just interjecting there for a minute. You were on a tangent and I suck. So continue.
I don't know where I left off. But I mean, it's just pretty much you can just, when you look at just using common sense, I've done several shows, if anyone's interested, on the moon landings. I've done over 10 episodes with my friends from the Apollo Detectives who have a pretty big channel on YouTube. These guys are super intelligent. I often say this, but it's the damn truth. Whenever I do shows with them, a lot of times I don't even know what the fuck they're talking about. They're talking about gigabytes and zagobytes and fucking electrons and neurons. I don't even know what the fuck they're talking about. But it sounds cool. And a lot of times I always say I'm the idiot of the group. And so I just try to represent the people that are probably not at that level. So I ask simple questions, and I've learned a lot just doing those shows. So I tell people, if you have questions, listen to all those episodes we've done. Um, and apart from those episodes that I've done, I also have David McGowan's Wagging the Moondoggy audiobook on my platforms as well. And I've also done one-on-one episodes with other folks on moon landing. So I've got hours and hours and hours. I mean, days worth of moon landing content if you really want to really go down that rabbit hole. And I feel confident if you listen to all the moon landing stuff that we've done, even if you believe the official story, or maybe you're kind of in, maybe we did, maybe we didn't. I feel confident you consume all that material. You're going to be like, yeah, we more than likely probably didn't make it. Now, I'm not one of these absolutists that say, oh yeah, it's definitely this way, that way. Maybe we did. But show me some good evidence for it.
I doesn't make
So
any
far,
sense. No, because
yeah.
like we did that whole circle jerk with like fucking Katy Perry and all the women. By the way, calling them astronauts. Real astronauts, they spend their entire lives training to go up into space, and we blow up these bitches in the middle of like, to the atmosphere, and we talk all this bullshit about how awesome they are as astronauts. I go, why are we spending like $1 billion for them to go up and just flat into orbit for like 11 seconds versus, and then everyone's like, well, if it happened, wouldn't we know? Because people can't keep their mouth shut. I'm like, Stanley Kubrick was doing that shit in all the films. I mean, between The Shining, I mean, he got killed for Eyes Wide Shut. Now that we're looking at Jeffrey Epstein stuff with all the sacrifice stuff and Hollywood elites. But I mean, he gave a couple winks and nods in The Shining, like the kids wearing the Apollo shirt. 237 is the name of the hotel room where everything goes south, which is 237,000 miles is where we're supposed to be from the moon. And like, the windows and all the stuff, it doesn't make sense inside the hotel.
What about the intro where he's meeting with the guy that runs it, and he's getting the job as the keeper, and the guy looks like JFK.
No shit, that's right.
And
That's
yeah,
right.
and he's got little American flags. It's like the JFK White House. So yeah, the Easter eggs for all that are all there. Um, and I know my Apollo detective friends have reservations, like they don't think maybe Kubrick was all the way in. Maybe some of the staff that worked with Kubrick,
Okay.
more than likely. So there's different theories. I don't think there's nothing. One thing I do want to say, because I often see people post this video that allegedly has an old Kubrick saying we never made it to the moon, and a lot of people share it. That's not real. That's not even fucking Kubrick. So one of the things we need to do is make sure that what we share or talk about, is accurate. Because if
Yes.
it's easily debunkable, then like if you're trying to show someone, they're like, no, that's 100% a provable lie. So then they're not going to take you serious when it counts. So you always have to be careful. Although sometimes it is hard to consistently um, know if you're right or not. So but I just wanted to say that because I don't know if you're familiar with that video that I'm talking about, the Kubrick deathbed confession video.
There's so many like deathbed like confessionals like when it comes to any of this shit. Same thing with one of the guys at NASA that apparently on his headstone it is a quote from the Bible basically saying that the firmament.
Werner von Braun. I think that one is actually accurate.
Are you
But I'm not.
yeah, like as far as like the flat earth stuff, I haven't gone deep enough down the rabbit hole on.
I'm not a flat earther. I know. I know there's a lot of people that believe that, and I don't know. I I like to have people believe whatever they feel like it. Just do research on it. I've done tons of research on flat Earth. It's not like I'm one of these people that dismiss, there's people that will hear flat earth and immediately dismiss it.
Yeah.
I'm not one of those people. I've actually dug in quite a bit into flat earth. None of the arguments convince me. Now, there's some that good arguments that they make. You shouldn't trust NASA. Yeah, I agree with that. But I guess for me personally, and maybe this is where we may disagree. For me, a lot of the flat earth always goes back to like biblical stuff.
Hmm.
And so if you believe in the Bible, then it's for you it may be real. For me, that's where I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna need a little bit more
Oh,
hardcore evidence for that from
I'm
my
not.
standpoint.
Yeah, I'm not a flat earther but for me though, I always joke even when it comes like to sex stuff, like, oh, I don't yuck anybody's yum, like any of the shit that they're into. And if you, I always tell Ash or my listeners, like before, like if you would have told me 10 years ago there was a fucking island where elites were like sacrificing kids, I would have told you you were crazy. But the more I get into, I had a near death experience, so I saw the other side and weird shit. So I'm not hard sold on flat earthers, but I don't shit on people that are flat earthers either because we don't understand. Because even Einstein's relativity of time, past, present, and future is going on, reincarnation. Like I believe all of the shit is possible, and that I'm also a big believer in the egg theory. I've talked about this in the show before. Are you familiar with the egg theory at all, Wheezy?
When I hear egg, I think of Jeff Epstein, and that's not a good visual that I like.
Egg, egg theory is basically we're all one consciousness and we're all experiencing life as each other at some point. So past, present, and future are happening all at the same time. Even when you reincarnate, you can go back into time, like even during the Renaissance time as somebody else, and that it's all just happening over and it's like a time loop. And there's like millions and millions and millions and infinite amounts of different dimensions that you kind of go through and you learn as a higher power.
Yeah, there's that whole rabbit hole is something that I've been traversing lately. And I've been hearing a lot of the panpsychism arguments. And in a weird way, I'm kind of leaning towards that. Um, and part of the reason for it is because I guess why panpsychism really, really spoke to me is because we live in a world where we only get two options for a lot of things. It's either black or it's white. What
Right.
about what about brown? What about pink? No, it's either black or white. Okay. It's either the biblical creation story or the Big Bang. Well, what about this other option?
Right.
It's either Republican or Democrat. Wait a minute. What about this? So I'm in a spot where I'm always looking for that third, fourth other option. I'm not cool with just the here's only this option to look at or this other option. My mind now says fuck all that. I'm not. I'll listen to it, but if it's not convincing me, I want to explore other avenues. I've been talking about for the longest time that I believe Jeff Epstein was allowed to escape,
Yep.
and when I first said that, I was looked at as crazy, as loony, because we were only presented two options. He either killed himself or someone took him out. And I'm like, nah, man, he probably escaped. And so this is what I do with a lot of shit. I hear a lot of noise, I hear a lot of stuff. And if it makes sense, I'll go with it. But if it doesn't, then man, I want to look at all the other options available. And so that's where panpsychism comes in. They kind of have like they believe in the scientific stuff, but they also believe that science is largely based in mathematics, things you can quantify with mathematics and stuff like that. And so panpsychism says, well, there's some times where that's not enough.
Right.
And so you need a little extra. And so they're not necessarily saying it has to be this Abrahamic God or whatever, but that maybe there's something out there that we just don't have the tools to measure with, and maybe we never will. And so that's where panpsychism kind of falls into, which
That's
is what I'm vibing with these days.
Ash, because I know we haven't given you a second.
Oh
'Cause
yeah.
yeah, I wasn't gonna bring it up, but fuck it, because you're just bringing it up because you've talked about the moon landing. Also, don't want to bore you, but we can go back to that as well. But this is just let's talk about it all because I'm so excited to have you on. But you brought up Jeffrey Epstein with him being, alive. Ash, did you and I, Ashley and I send each other so much shit on our phones. Have you seen any of the shit lately with they saying that they brought like FBI in, they had a bunch of boxes, they brought the body out, and they saw him leave. So, I mean, what are your thoughts on what Wheezy's saying as far as for Epstein?
Yeah, so on the same day that you and I did our episode, Ray, Wheezy had done one that afternoon as well. And they had some interesting stuff that they brought up. But one thing that I want to bring up that I think is really interesting is something that we talk about a lot is that obviously Epstein is the tip of the iceberg, and we've had so many more instances of people running these types of rings that have been documented, but they don't get the airtime that they really should. And actually, the same guy that Wheezy was talking about wagging the moon doggy, Dave McGowan, his book Program to Kill starts out is the very first chapter is called The Pedophocracy, and he talks about Marc Dutroux in Belgium of the Dutroux affair, who was in a lot of ways there's a lot of overlap, and he seems very similar, like this middleman manager that Epstein may have also been, and yet he was doing very harmful things to these children and girls as well. But the other the other similarities was that leading into 2019, there was a huge push online. People were saying Epstein didn't kill himself. The memes were everywhere. Like, I have an Epstein didn't kill himself hat. It was blowing up. And then we saw the introduction of, the COVID-19 thing. Now, was it because of that, or was it time to pull the trigger at that time? I obviously have no idea, but I find it to be weird when people actually outside of all political ideology were agreeing on one thing. And what they don't want at this time is unity for sure. And we could see that with the algorithmic division that is constantly being stoked. And it was really horrible during COVID, and it really hasn't stopped. So I think that that is something worth considering. But there's so many overlaps with the Dutroux affair, and Dutroux actually did escape. And there was a huge outcry. Somebody criticized me for not calling it out. It's called the White March. I just didn't want to get anything wrong. It was on Wheezy's show, but it was called the White March. But so many people, I think they said maybe like 30% of the country in Belgium was protesting the corruption surrounding the Dutroux affair. So it was building, building, building. So I think that they learned from that. And I also think that there's a lot of overlap, and Dutroux actually was able to escape at least twice, if I recall correctly. So I very much think that there's similarities there. And I know that Wheezy has a theory because he ended up bringing up Hillary's brother, but it ties in with what you were saying, Ray. Like, could someone have, of course, we're speculating here, we don't know, but something like that is possible. And then, really quick to tie this stuff in with what we were talking about as far as um the moon landing, and I have a couple things that I want to just bullet points to go over regarding moon landing and Vietnam, but the common denominator is something serving as a potential major distraction to get everybody's eye off the ball. And so that was what obviously happened in the Epstein case when everybody was saying he didn't kill himself. People were unified on that, and they wanted the truth, no matter if you're in the truth or liberty community or right, left, whatever. People thought that something was up. And then we ended up having COVID-19 happen. And that actually tracks with several events from Vietnam to the moon landing, when some major thing, something scandalous, because it was a very unpopular war. So people knew what was up with that. And we can, Wheezy and I did a show on this, and there's so much more to talk about even than we covered, but it was atrocious, Ray. Like,
The fact that none of these
absolutely
motherfuckers
horrific.
right now, the fact that we're talking about the dumbest shit on the news right now, because I live in California, so we have fake fluffy news. I'm like, I don't care about a high-speed chase. I don't give a fuck about what like Madonna did with her 12-year-old boyfriend. I don't give a fuck. The fact that, there are emails. So apparently, even though I can't stand her right now, but Pam Bondi, even though I'm a Republican, finally just redacted all the names. No one is talking about the fact that Bill Gates, Jeffrey Epstein, I forgot the other person, talking about how they want to get rid of poor people. And they were coming up with this idea, and that was right before COVID, to give people a vaccine so they could get rid of a large portion of this world that is, considered in the poverty level. I'm like, okay, so we're not talking about that. And the fact that once the COVID vaccine was released, 100% of us now, because of shedding, can be located by a satellite because we have nanoparticles in our body. I can be GPS tracked no matter wherever the fuck I am. And everyone's like, oh, that's a conspiracy theory. But now it's real, but don't talk about it. Like, let's just not talk about it. That's fucking nuts to me.
Yeah, and I think that's part of the information warfare aspect of this, right? Like, I think that even if you have really good high-level researchers who are looking at this and doing good work on it, there's only so much that they can find and cover and try to verify. So this is information warfare, my opinion, to obscure and bury things in there that, maybe would really be giant news if everybody was on the same page.
Well, I'll have to ask because Wheezy, in case my listeners haven't listened to your episode yet, one, what's the episode number? But also, two, what's your theory as far as Clinton's brother being involved in this whole Epstein thing?
It was the last episode we did, and I'm trying to pull that up.
Yeah, and I just like, so to get some traffic directed your way so they can listen to it and get the whole deep dive on it. Because I'm gonna go back and listen because I went through and just kind of found like what was super popular on your podcast, and I started. Now I'm a listener, but I gotta play catch
Two
up.
293.
Okay.
Yeah, I got a lot of great feedback. There was quite a few people that told me that was like the out of all the Epstein shows that had come out that week, they said this one was hands down, which is humbling. Like I'm not I'm not a Whitney Webb or any of that shit. I'm just
Not
a
yet.
fucking garbage man. I don't. I probably never will be, and I'm fine with that. Um, yeah. So for the theory for Epstein maybe being smuggled out, it goes a little something like when you look at Tony Rodham, that was Hillary's brother, Tony
Uh-huh.
Rodham. If you Google him, you will quickly see his images come up. You're like, holy shit, that's not Epstein. No, it's not Epstein. That's Tony Rodham. And he died.
Oh my God, he looks just like him.
He died a couple of months prior to Jeff Epstein's quote unquote official death.
Holy
Uh, I
shit.
think I think he died in June, and Epstein was pronounced dead allegedly on August 20th. So the theory is that they froze his body and they concocted the story. All right, that gave them 2 months to concoct the story. To okay, how are we gonna do it? Oh yeah, we'll say the cameras fucking did this. We'll purposely make it look like it's either he got killed or he suicided. Let them fucking clowns fight about it while we sneak his ass out. And when you look at the cause of death for Tony Rodham, there is no cause of death, and it was announced from none other than Hillary herself via Twitter.
Oh,
No.
oh my God.
and and not only that, Tony Rodham was kind of the black sheep of the Clinton family. And if you ascribe to the Clinton body count theory, that is not far fetched at all.
Fuck yeah,
Because
dude.
the next question would be like, well, that's her brother. She would never. Do
Bitch.
you know? Do you know how many people have died under mysterious circumstances under that are associated with the Clintons? So with this guy, his death not being announced, it was his own sister announcing it, who we can't trust worth a shit, and looking just like the doppelganger. To me, it is not far fetched at all that the body that was willed out was that of Tony Rodham.
Well, even that side picture, because I remember, I can't say where I work, but I remember like one of the people I work with was like, I remember months ago I was saying that it didn't, his earlobes, his nose, it didn't look like him. And that, Epstein has a very specific nose. It's more of a hooked nose. This guy's was a little bit more like lowered, like straight
Like a
nose.
Tony Rodham-ish
Yes, like
nose.
a little, yeah, exactly. And I am literally listening to you talk right now, and I am manipulating this picture. Like I just turned a picture of him sideways, and I was like, "That's him. That's
Yeah.
his body. That's
Yeah, I don't think
great
it's a
investigative work."
far-fetched. I don't. Well, it wasn't my own theory. I had heard it, but it wasn't. It was funny because when I heard it, my mind was blown. I was like, "Well, I'm going to talk about it," and then the first time I talked about it, a week later, Sam Tripoli started talking about it like it was his fucking theory. I'm like, bitch, you stole that from me. He listens to my show, but he would never have me on for whatever reason, and it's fine. It's all good.
My sister used to rep him back in the day. I love Sam Tripoli, but yeah, I love listening to his show because he just doesn't give a flying fuck.
I'll, since you are a fan of his, I'll leave it at that. Let's just put it that way.
Okay. I'm a fan of his comedy. I started listening to Tinfoil Hat because like he was
No, don't tell me that, Ray. You're
well,
gonna
no,
lose
because he didn't.
respect points.
I like
His
all comics
comedy?
because he no, not his not now. If you saw Tripoli in the early 2000s, like he was pitching shows like with hookers and stuff back in the day before everyone else was fucking doing it. Like he doesn't give it. When he was on drugs, he was way funnier. He doesn't give a fuck. I don't know if you listened to him when he used to do drugs.
I can't see people think I'm being a hater, but I'm not being a hater because I my views on him is he's a good podcast host. He throws an entertaining show. I'm giving him props where they're due, and he does a real good job. As far as his comedy, holy, I don't know what people see. I'm like, this shit sucks. How the hell is he making money touring the country?
I like
I
him. I
don't
like
see it.
him. I like Hinchcliffe. I mean, I don't think Rogan's that funny. I think Rogan's a great podcaster, but I don't think
That's
his comedy is that great. But like,
that's how I feel about Tripoli's Rogan
okay.
and Trip. That whole comedy scene for me, there's only a couple guys that I find somewhat funny. That would be Shane Gillis
I love
is a
Shane
funny
Gillis.
guy.
Yeah.
What's that dude that looks like a lesbian haircut guy? Um,
Oh, I know you're talking about. He's kind of acts like he's a retard. He had Trump on his
Theo,
show.
Theo
Yeah,
yeah,
Vaughn.
Theo
Theo
Vaughn.
Vaughn,
Yes,
lesbian haircut guy.
good
You guys
teamwork
knew.
right there.
Um, he's funny. Like he's a funny guy. Shane Gillis is a funny guy. But other than that, the rest of those crowd, I call the Joe Rogan Experience the new Laurel Canyon. It's just a bunch of bullshit psyop influencers, and Tripoli runs around in that little sphere. And if he's not part of it, he sure defends the shit out of his friends that are involved in that shit. So that's my stance on it. And
No,
I know
there's
people disagree with it.
I fuck them. Like there's no right or wrong answer on my show. Like like I said, everyone has their thing. That's why I like comedy. There's different genres, and I just like to laugh. So I like. There's so much wildness in this world right now. If I can, I've watched Sticks and Stones by Dave Chappelle so many fucking times, just watching the shit over and over again because I just like to laugh. And maybe you're right. Maybe because I listened to Tripoli like years ago, but I also love his podcast so much. Maybe that's why I enjoy his stand up because I know where he's coming from just listening to
Yeah.
him talk. But
That's what
yeah,
I feel. See, that's my psychologist hat. I go, I think the reason people find him funny, and I didn't even know you like the show. I think a lot of them are listeners of his.
yeah,
They're
probably.
already fans of his show. So now they have like some kind of a personal connection. So I'm going to go support my friend. But see, that's where I'm like, see, you don't really think he's funny. It's more like you're giving him a little a sympathy laugh. Like, good job, at a boy. Good job, Sammy.
Fair enough. He does have some good, but when it comes to conspiracy theories, he's got some good motherfuckers in that show. He's got good people to come on there and start talking trash. And but I don't know if they're to your point, I don't know if they're ripping it from other people's pods. But this will I do listen to his show, but I didn't hear anything about Tony. So that's
Yeah,
nuts.
he brought it up once because I used to listen to him. I used to listen to Sam's show all the time. I used to be a big Rogan, but I think the Sam shit, I don't want to get into it, but after a while, it got annoying because he would flirt with me like he was going to have me on and then didn't.
Got
Flirt
it.
with me like he was going to have me on. And then one day I just cut loose and I vented. And ever since then, he's ghosted me.
Ghosted you.
But if you can't handle the truth, I mean, uh, that's the thing. People want people to kiss their ass all the time. You got to kiss the ring, or and are we gonna be honest with people, or are we gonna be bullshitting people just or kissing ass just to get certain favors done? I'm
That
not
is
that way.
literally you're like the poster child right now for the name of your show. What is truth podcast? Like it's
Yeah,
true. Like what is the truth? What makes people happy? That's a problem is people don't want to hear the truth anymore. They want to be pandered to. Even when it comes to the conspiracy theory, like group of people, Like I listen, like there's like a group of us on Discord, and if you don't match a lot of people's like what they are looking to hear for themselves, they will ghost the shit out of you quickly. People are not willing to be like Gumby. I'm like, you got to bend a little bit. You got to sway and be fluid and move because everything's changing. You don't like it's so fast and history keeps getting rewritten. By the way, I keep doing external hard drives because the internet keeps getting stuff taken off because you
Yeah.
know what is the truth? What is the history? It's all being rewritten as we speak.
Well, that, and I know Ashley hasn't said nothing. I would love to hear her thoughts, but real quick, this is one of the reasons why one of the biggest themes for my little show is I encourage people to get out of that left right bullshit paradigm. I see too many people in the truth community. So if we go back to the 9/11 days, it was Republicans, George Bush Republicans pushing for war in Iraq.
Yep.
Hell yeah, let's get into fucking Iraq. And it was the Democrats that said, no, fuck that. George Bush is a murderer. He's a genocidal maniac. Fuck him. It was a lot of left wingers that were truthers back then. People
Yep.
forget. You fast forward to today, a lot of Republicans now are mostly truthers, and a lot of left wingers bought into the COVID hysteria and put on their fucking mask. It was disappointing to see a lot of legends from the 9/11 days push COVID bullshit. And the reason for it is because they got caught in that left right bullshit. And so now it seems to be another reckoning where people that didn't buy the COVID shit and pushed against it, and the people that fell into it, now they're having another reckoning with the Epstein files. Now all these Republicans that said fuck the Biden administration with the COVID, they were blah blah blah, but now they're supporting ICE, the mass surveillance state. It's like, what the fuck, don't you guys fucking ever learn? And it's so irritating because people get caught up with this left and right bullshit. And when you ascribe, oh, I'm a Republican, I'm proud Republican, sooner or later the fucking pendulum's gonna swing, and if you're still stuck on that fucking side, guess what, you're gonna be wrong when it swings again. And vice versa, if you were a truther in 9/11 days but you remained a Democrat, you were wrong when COVID hit. So this is one of the themes that I'm always pushing, like, fuck the left, fuck the right, they're all bullshit. And if you look at history, they have switched sides over and over through history. At one point, the Democrats were the conservative party. The radical Republicans were the quote unquote liberals. And they fucking switch. So if they switch sides, who are they really telling you the fucking truth? And it gets demoralizing for me. This kind of goes back to the starting. Like, this is where I'm at. I'm kind of demoralized with a lot of this shit, man. People that didn't buy the COVID scam are now buying, oh yeah, Trump is a good guy. He's fighting the deep state and all this fucking bullshit. Like, when are y'all gonna fucking learn? And I get fed up with it, and I'll get off my rambling. What's up, Ashley?
Go Ash. I love you, Weezy. I just thought this is great.
And
Go
I was
Ash.
thinking when I was like, "Oh, you got him, Ray. He's going, he's, he's heated." So I agree, and this is one of the things that you and I have talked about, Ray, and of course Weezy and I have talked about is like, where do we fall, and where were we, and where we fall now. So this is something that I've been talking to Ray about. Is like, this is why I'm working on you to try to get you to be an anarchist or whatever, because I do, that was one of the things that whenever I kind of had my own realizations very gradually of like seeing the way that I saw the sides be manipulated. And it is, like what Wheezy was saying, it goes back and forth, issue to issue of like people, well, in my opinion, of people being right about different things. And I use the gauge just because of like, what are my ethics? What do I believe in? So if we subscribe to an anti-war, anti-imperialist, um, ideology, then anytime we see the war drums banging, that's going to be a no for me, right? Obviously, the war is the health of the state, and the first casualty of any war is the truth. But I think that is just what I use as a guideline. So if they're banging the war drums and they're trying to make the spin in this particular situation is maybe trying to make Ukraine look like the victims, then we need to look, and of course, the Ukrainian people are victims, but when we're dealing with governments, then we need to look more at the history, like that there had been a coup in the area, that Russian speakers were forbidden to speak Russian, that this was a contested area, that Vladimir Putin, who I do not think is a good guy, by the way, I think he's a globalist just like everyone else, but there was an agreement that NATO would not continue to build up on Russia's border, and that's exactly what they did. In addition to the coup
Yep.
in 2014, so we just see, like what Wheezy's saying, the back and forth, the back and forth. So they're right on either side 50% of the time, in my opinion. If you were to go, let's say you're not even an anarchist, but let's say that you wanted to be a constitutionalist, these things are not in a line with the Constitution. So it's basically like deciding where your values lie, and do they lie in someone handing you your values? And does that, is that what does that sit well with you? And if you're fine, like I just want to support the Republican Party because of X, Y, and Z, or the Democratic Party, or whatever, like I think you need to, back to Wheezy's show, like what is truth? You need to find that for yourself, and just, some people I don't think care about being logically consistent. And that's something that personally matters to me. So I try to stay there. Not that I'm always there, but I'm always trying. So I think that this is, having these conversations really facilitates the kind of thought that I think is needed, because even if people, like what you were saying, Ray, and what Weezy was saying, that I'll listen to you. So if we can facilitate conversations between people who are not in the same space, I think we can bring up really good subjects for people to actually think critically about. And that's one of the things I would hope that people understand, is that if we're thinking critically, then we are realizing that there is a goal to manipulate our emotions to get us to feel and subscribe to some ideology some type of way. And
I
we
was
don't have to do that.
like, I was having this discussion with some, I can't say where I work. Ash, we'll tell Weezy offline, but like you're talking to someone during COVID. Weezy, I was wearing a MAGA hat in California. I didn't give a fuck. I dressed up as AOC instead of Tax the Rich, fake ass bitch for Halloween costume. Like I was a hardcore, I have my guns, big Second Amendment girl. I go hunting and fishing and, out here. But once the whole thing's dropped with Epstein for someone who dealt with pedophilia, and Epstein or Trump was like, there's no Epstein list, it's bullshit. I was like, okay, so we can all agree. We can all agree now that whether you're a Democrat or Republican, if you're a fucking politician, you're a piece of shit. It doesn't matter anymore. So when it comes to left or right, for me, I'm like just truth. I don't give a shit anymore. It's funny because people just want to get online and have these like big old fucking culture wars and Republican and Democrat wars. I notice that especially like white liberal women that want to fight with me because I'm mixed. Once I talk to them in person, you just actually have a conversation and they're not a keyboard warrior. I realize the divisiveness of what they're just doing, even with what we see on our podcast. And Ash, I'll have anybody on my show, but I'm with you, Weezy. Like, but like, if you would have talked to me, 9, 10 months ago when Trump first got into office, what was going on with the Biden administration with Kamala, I was like, Trump or die. He's he for the people. No, now I will say that humbly say that they're not for the people. It comes down to money. It's all bullshit.
But see, you snapped out of it. That was my awakening. It came to politics. I was a Bernie bro. I wanted Bernie to win. I didn't agree with everything he said, but I was like, he at least comes off sincere. I remember specifically when I was hardcore rooting for Bernie. There was a hit job on the media, on the news, where they're like, "Oh yeah, Bernie Sanders' net worth is like 500,000, and like 400,000 is tied to his house in Vermont." I'm like, "That's you guys are making fun of him for that? That's what makes me like him even fucking more,
Right.
because he's a real fucking person." Fast forward to now, he's a multimillionaire.
Yep.
Not hard to figure out what happened there, but the point is, it was that deception where I put this guy on a pedestal. He's gonna change everything around, and another reason why I started my podcast back in 2019 was because I seen a lot of people in the quote unquote truth community pushing Trump. Trump is going to go in there. Everyone's against him. The mainstream media is against him. And I was yelling in live chats, Trump and Epstein, and everyone was saying, you're fucking crazy. You have no basis for what you're saying. It's funny, after 6 years of doing this shit, I've been told I've been fucking crazy and wrong. And many times I've been proven right over time. When the Trump assassination happened, that very fucking day, I said, this shit's fake as fuck. And a lot of people, even my own listeners, were like, Weezy, I agree with you most of the time, but I think that was real. And now a lot of people are like, yeah, you know what? I think you were right there. I'm not trying to toot my own horn, but I guess I could toot it a tiny bit. But the point is, I started my podcast because I saw a lot of people in the quote unquote truth community pushing Trump. And I was like, fuck this guy. He is not your friend. Bernie Sanders was not our fucking friend. None of these motherfuckers are our friends. And now I'm starting to see a lot of people kind of gravitate towards a Thomas Massey, towards a Ro Khanna on the Democrat side. These two are against both of their sides. We need to help them and protect them. And then you have Thomas Massey. Oh, my brakes are good. If something happens to me, blah, you bitch, shut the fuck up. They're playing roles. They're being the victims. They're calling out. They're the straight shooters. So now you're gonna see their role. You're gonna see a lot of these Trump Republicans that are now pissed off and disenfranchised by Trump now because of the Epstein files. Who are they gonna go to next? Oh shit, Thomas Massey. On the Democrat side, Ro Khanna. So it's all the point I'm trying to make is none of these motherfucking politicians will have your back. And I know it's easy to get back. Oh, well, they're saying good shit. I'm not saying I disagree with what they're saying. They are saying the good shit, but that's their fucking role. That's what people need to understand. People are going to get excited with what they have to say. Oh my gosh, they're pushing against the grain. Their life is in jeopardy. Bitch, it's a fucking role. Get it through your head. But unfortunately, a lot of people won't. When Thomas Massey starts running, they're going to get on the Massey train. You're going to see Democrats get on the Ro Khanna train. Oh, that's going to be our answer. None of these fuckers are our answer. And that's the black pill, I guess, that I got to say.
Until we stop allowing our senators and local congressmen making money off of us and having no accountability and insider trading, it's just going to get fucking worse. So I know we're getting up to an hour. I always like to do just an hour. So I'm going to ask you both, kind of closing, what my thought is when Weezy was going off in a good way. Is I want to know both of your guys' opinions, because let's talk about Republicans just to end it with. For someone who has been Republican basically her whole life and it's now going, what the fuck? Why do you think Nick Fuentes has become so big now in the community, like with the Groypers and everything else, and the Republican Party is so divided with him? So, Weezy, I'll let you go, and then Ash, I'll let you close it out, and then we'll wrap this bad boy up.
Yeah, Nick Fuentes, I did a show on it. It has the most views of all my Rumble videos. It has like 40,000 views on Rumble, which is pretty cool. Mm-hmm. We expose him. He's always been a grifter. He's the one that. And we were telling people this, and I remember when we did the show, there was a lot of people that were mad, but now a lot of people are coming around like, oh shit, maybe you guys were right. And the grift was easy to see. Here you have this polished kid, a young kid that can speak in good rhetoric. He was trained that way. There's nothing natural about that. He's a fucking actor. And his whole role was to push anti-Semitism, like, oh, he's always talking about the Jays. That's his fucking role. But when you really see what he's doing, he's helping. Because my guess, what it seems like it's clear, is to crush more free speech. Let's get people to screw the Jews. They want that to happen so they can clamp down even harder. We're already losing our free speech as it is, but we need more. And what an excellent little character this Nick Fuentes is, who hangs around with cat boys, who doesn't mess with women, a little gay guy, a little gay twink is the voice of these Aryan proud nationalists. Get the fuck out of here. It's a straight up psyop. And people, but that's what the role of a psyop influencer is. It's to fool you. But it's easy to look past it if you are in the know. So I'll leave that, and I'll leave Ashley finish it off.
How could I possibly follow that? But I agree. So these are the exact red flags for me when we're looking at any major influencer. First of all, we know that we are out here in this space and have been for a while. Wheezy's been grinding for 6 years. I've been podcasting for probably at least 3.5, 4 years. I know that you have your podcast is just over a year old, but you have been in the space and learning for a really long time. So we have seen the rise of what is today's modern day influencer and what do they have in common. So they do have similar roots. And what we have is these people that are very well spoken at a very young age, almost like they were picked out of a college course to be presented for a certain issue. And and I know that you're a Charlie Kirk fan, Ray, but I do put him in that category as well. But he's somebody that's very well spoken at a very young age, and he has a certain charisma while still holding up kind of the values of looking like a very well put together, conservative, smart young man. And I'm not saying he wasn't, but I'm just saying that
He
these are
can't
the
pick
things. So
women
like,
though. He just can't pick women.
right,
Character
yeah,
Kirk, not a
yeah,
fan.
yeah.
So continue.
For sure. And then we did see that with Nick Fuentes. We saw that with Candace Owens. These people are very, very good speakers. And I want people to realize how important having somebody who is very well articulated and who is very good at their job, if their job is to get you thinking and emotional, like that is an art. But what we know with the mind control experiments that have been being done at least since the 40s and probably longer than that, but at least since then, and then documented here in the United States, that they have the control of human behavior down to a science. And that was mind controlling individuals. So now they have a lot more information because they have all of our data that they have stolen from us through everything that you watch, everything that you click on, everything that you like, everything that you spend, like, oh, in your doom scrolling, like, oh, I spent like 2 seconds on this ad versus a 0.2 seconds. They know that stuff and it is all collected. They're working on all of that. So they know also when a story is introduced about X, Y, and Z, that is information dissemination following. So they're paying attention to where the story goes, who sees it, who likes it, who is outraged by that, all these things. So it's getting better and better and better. And that's the power of an algorithmic control. And that is exactly how these people were put in this place to become very popular and trending, and to give them the look of authenticity of starting at the ground floor. But I don't think that in most cases you see anybody in that particular space who actually was organic, that they have funding, backing, training to become really a cult of personality. And then I'll end on agreeing with Wheezy that what we have really seen is the rise of what I call controlled noticing, of people making comments about, who's that they think that they are responsible for everything or that they're all the problems or whatever. And there's a reason that that rhetoric has been allowed to become very popular, that it's in the ether and that it's starting to trend and that people are saying outlandish things. So you may have somebody like Jake Shields of former UFC who is making or asking valid questions about what questions should we maybe ask about what we've been told about World War II, for example. However, he also sprinkles that through with a ton of like really bold statements and claims and some outlandish stuff. And what that does is that people see that, they start liking on that, and they now you have been identified that you're liking that and that that this is the type of rhetoric that you are subscribing to. And I think that it is a trap. I think that what we're seeing is not the result of one specific group of people. I think that we have very powerful entities that overlap. So in Walter Bowert's Operation Mind Control book, he calls it the cryptocracy. And that's what it is. It is linking networks of people who have been able to put themselves in positions of power, who have overlapping interests. Sometimes it's not the same interests, but a lot of times it is. And so I think that Nick Fuentes was really an influential person, right place at the right time in front of the right people. We know that he was at January 6th. We know what, at least what we were told, what happened to regular people who showed up for J6, even if they didn't go anywhere near that building. They were locked up, they were harassed by the FBI, but nothing happened to him and nothing happened to Ray Epps. And now he kind of was punished for that. And then exactly what Weezy was talking about, then he goes on to his channel, is like growing like nobody's business. But what it's a part of, in my opinion, is narrative management and capturing people who are listening to him. And it's not going to be good, in my opinion.
He's the most censored guy that everyone knows about.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Get out of here. He's not censored. It's bullshit.
Well, my whole thing is they just released, right now with, Palantir, I keep talking about it on the show. We're talking about, kind of the algorithm, what's going on as far as monitoring everything that we're doing. Now they just did a whole thing in Europe now that if you, for smart cities, they're kind of monitoring your Facebook and all your social media. And if you go to a certain city more than an allocated time they told you to, they're now charging you $93 per time that you go. And now they are implementing the smart city in Arizona, and they are going to attach Palantir as well with a camera system. So it's a car-free city, so they can monitor us for our safety. And they have gotten rid of, I already told you, like 11,000 words with AI and what they're teaching kids. And we're being spoon-fed the same bullshit. And I've always said this on the show. We can look at the same picture. There's different comments to enrage us, keep us divided, and that's a wrap. So for guys, any questions that you guys have for Wheezy, please, please, please go check out his podcast. I think you're on all the platforms, but Rumble is the big one that I caught you on. It's What is the Truth podcast. Check him out. He's awesome. I will put all the links in the description. You guys know Ashley. You guys know her from Nights on the Storm of the Storm, and she's got her whole own thing dropping here pretty soon. Make sure that you like, subscribe, share with your friends. Super helps the podcast. I cannot thank you both enough for being on this. And guys, as always, stay curious, stay skeptical, but always keep seeking the radical truth. And thank you so much.